some records, and we thought we'd go down to where Downtown Records had moved to, because everything's being gentrified in Manhattan. It was down in Chinatown, so we walked down to Chinatown. And we found ourselves going down East Broadway. We just walked the length of Broadway. It took us 8 hours. And we're walking down East Broadway. Sonny Rollins. So we go down, what do I find at Downtown Music? Sonny Rollins, East Broadway Rundown, 1966. So I go back and photograph East Broadway. And 5 years later, I finally put this book together. So this is kind of a tribute to Sonny Rollins, tenor saxophone player, if you don't know his work. So it's kind of a mix of photographs and texts. And it's kind of interesting because there's a period, quite famously, Sonny Rollins made a name for himself and backed out of the music industry and spent 2 years just going up Williamsburg Bridge and playing to sort of figure things out. And he recorded an album called The Bridge. And a few years go by and he records East Broadway Rundown and he opts out of the whole music industry again. So this is kind of, no man is a bridge. It begins in the conventional storefronts, suits, taxis, then a kind of night falls. Every glass pane in the city tunes into a different frequency. They're trying on their disguises. Carl Sandburg beating out syntax in the shadows, years making dead weight. The way the tide slips out there like an uptown queen taking her clothes off. Rain falls out of boxes. Picture a mind in dialogue with vague evocations. To improvise a map, same riff, same variation, feeling a path through the mesh of it. The suspended fourth, the seventh, the augmented ninth. A skeleton smoking a cigarette, telling you that there must be some other way out of here. He was born with a skull in his head just like everyone else. Strung out like a bridge, a nervous ear in your sleep. Fingers creeping over the stops and valves with a back alley hiss. Hurry up, Kane, you gotta murder your brother. Kind of thing stares you in the face till one day you gouge your own eyes out. This isn't a point of view, there's no perspective. A man could close his mind and wake up under a ton of rubble. Learn your lesson good. You can't own the illuminated vision. The measured pace of an idea is sending a staircase. No walls out there over the water. Laid flat on a picture plane, a continuous sound curve, mournful and raucous, black as the moon, dreaming of words that have never been in a poem. A door sticking out at an angle from language would imply a space in which to take a stand, besieged by everything outside it. Walking in second-hand shoes, the important thinking hasn't even started till you reach the Lower East Side. You don't need a gun to start a revolution. Study the escape manual. Strange sense of wonder, the stillness so quiet here, sea surge and abatement, eye beat. The blistered body seeking the one discipline to enforce and also explain, message in a bottle like, to lost desert island coteries of mind. Brief passages through present necessity making conscious what transforms necessity. A man at least should earn what he drinks. Turning a fine, ready-made phrase, pick a word, any word, repeat at intervals, hallways, streets, atmospheres, the first and last denominators anywhere but here, subway pornography. They say a man never walks into the same bar twice. Well, did you get your revolution yet? Standing in the rain, watching traffic, the sky, all elan and backdrop for a city of fence climbers. Getting there late just as the blinds go up and the lights go out. The consolation was anything. Find a gap and fill it. Man with his back to the world gets cold sometimes, pouring all the burns into the teeth clench of night. Start again in the middle of things. How do you know when the job's done? What's a right step? What isn't? Throwback makes imagined real time a Chinese box inside a Rubik's Cube inside a thumb stall. No comfort in dead ends. Pick a cliche, any cliche. Slashes of black buttressed by ocean depth blue, porno red. The street takes the form of an escapade. Patterns of fact turn to past agglomeration. El Zion in Chinatown. Freddie Hubbard's trumpet turning cross accents and monotone warped by the wind. In a doorway, or voice wraps its nylon. Man's a fish, can't breathe, pay for air around your face. You do this every day of your life, like an improvised despair, ear, brain, conch shell. The escape route's still part of the labyrinth, backwards up a stairway, a bridge set over traps. Turn it inside out and it's an inside-out labyrinth.
dead mouthpiece in echo chamber. All this to explain that strangeness is compelling? The question's only a semaphore. The gear don't stick, the problem's answered. One more promised land dead ahead. Who holds the gun? Who holds the key? Black slant-eyed Jesus with saxophone. Teach children to stay safe. Burn down cities. Throwback makes a cliche. Job's done. Ocean depth takes the fat Jesus with a gun for sale. Porno red. You do this inside out. One more dead problem. Who holds the real-time improvised burn down? El Zion, a face like despair. Strangeness is no comfort. A doorway, slant, nylon voice box. The question holds the key. Gasoline-coloured boom economy creates daily occasions of syntax rain, falls out of boxes, making dead weight the way the tide slips out there. Anthropology, all these emotions. Upstairs is where they store the abandoned laboratory hardware. Storefronts, suits, taxis, making fingernails down your spine. Then a kind of night falls. More blowjobs, head jobs, neck jobs. Every glass pane in the city tunes in. The moon, a shut-up grapefruit intravenously. Eyeball catheter. Telling you there must be some other way, cure almost anything, but some things got no cure. Strung out like a bridge, it begins in a different frequency, the mesh of it. It begins in the conventional, storefronts, suits, taxis, then a kind of night falls. Every glass pane in the city tunes into a different frequency. They're trying on their Carl Sandburg years, making the tide slip out there, a mind in dialogue with a skeleton smoking a cigarette. It begins in the conventional, storefronts, panes, taxis, then a kind of night falls. Every glass suit in the city tunes in. Just like everyone else, a nervous ear in your sleep, strung out like a bridge, telling you there must be some other way out. It begins in the conventional, storefront, cells, taxis, then a kind of night falls with a back alley hiss. Close your eyes and wake up under a ton of rubble. Every pane in the city was born with a skull in its head. It begins in the conventional, storefronts, dollars, taxis, then a kind of thing stares you in the face till one day fingers creeping over stops and valves. Hurry up, Kane, you've got to murder your point of view. It begins in the conventional, making dead weight rain falls out of boxes. A man could learn your lesson good, there's no perspective you can't buy. It's only terminal if you can't sleep it off. Old woman in black who held your arm crossing 14th Street and all the diners that shut down, talking about Ravel or Lotus Blossoms, or the redhead in Washington Square with green parrot tattoo on shoulder, listening to the jazz. Dogs but no children, a failed grace in all domesticated things. Giant with saxophone coughs, unassuming midget chessmen taking not one step in any direction without preamble. The crowd making diligent nonconformist sidesteps. Fuck the distinction of getting there, you only teach by example. Unraveling the minute at a time over there, a blue TV head laughing mute. Reformed pin-eyed junkies, the bored coyotes of Bleecker Street. Possibility doesn't suicide itself for what's best. Finding a next idea in a 99-cent store, first drawing lines on paper with pencil and ruler, or sometimes not ruler and without pencil. It comes down to the thread of something, believing all these years you turned clockwise to open. Now the exceptions come in volumes 8 inches thick. Giant washing machines stacked against the sky, immense people smelling of tongue liquid. Now you've got your symmetry, it's time to state the inevitable conclusion, how one island can be so different from the next. They build statues out of principles you can wander around inside for dollars at a time. Geography may always be willing, but real estate knows where to draw the line. Used to be progress was taking a wrong turn and winding up in a desperate neighbourhood, but they've got people trained for that now. Why come so far when there's no turning back? Throwdown. Finish what you started. Thank you.
So many poems, so little time.
Should I?
Yeah, I think you should.
Yeah.
If you want to.
Or, yeah.